Dali walked through the markets of Salem. She had encountered the travelling merchant Porksmith, a pig-faced man in a long brown trench coat. He didn't look like anyone from this realm, but in Xenao that wasn't uncommon. Many people came to visit this realm for business or for glory, and would look at Dali, surprised a monkey could talk, so she had learned not to judge. Dali looked around the merchant's wares. The contents were strange. A notebook that could imprint thoughts into someone's mind, a rope that could float in place, seeds that would grow into monsters. Nothing stood out to her much, except for a small ragdoll. It had buttoned eyes, one of which had fallen off, thick messy hairs, and a small plain dress. It looked eerie, but Dali still felt something for it, a feeling she couldn't describe. It was almost like a craving, as if she were already familiar with this object. She bought the patchwork doll from the pigman and left. Dali walked home with a bag of food in one hand and the strange doll in the other. She still didn't completely understand it. Perhaps if she had asked Porksmith a few more questions, she might have. Regardless, the nump continued through the cliffside temples of Xenao. The vertical design of the realm made it difficult for people who were not native to traverse. However, Dali's ape-like body could navigate it effortlessly. As she got further away from the market, she found herself opposite a golem with cracked skin and fingers carved into claws. Clearly he was a mugger, likely poor from being exiled by his god. Dali was prepared to give him the food, not deeming it worth the conflict, but instead he reached for the doll she had just bought, something she was not willing to lose. She pulled against him, holding on to the stuffed toy like it was her own child. The greater strength of the golem caused her to lose grip of the doll and have it ripped out of her hand. As she got further away from the market, she found herself opposite a golem with cracked skin and fingers carved into claws. Clearly he was a mugger, likely poor from being exiled by his god. Dali got a strange sense that she had already experienced this. Was she forewarned of the incoming attack, or had she been given a second chance? The only thing she knew is that she couldn't let him take her doll. Dropping the bag of food, she slashed at the mugger with her nails, using them like claws. By the time she realized what had happened, the golem had a giant gash on its chest and fell to the floor. Dali didn't know what she had done. She didn't know she could do that. At first she was scared, now understanding the true nature of her doll. The more she looked at it, though, the more she began to relax. It had a comforting presence. She no longer felt defenseless. For the first time in her life, she felt power. As Dali picked up her bag off the floor, someone had seen her. It was a numk, just like her, but even if they were the same species, the armor showed they were not on the same side. This person was a warrior, mildly blessed by Tryora, the god of order, and the one numks were meant to worship and die for. Dali never saw the god as anything special, though. She would see people who fit into its standards were given an undeserved boost in life, and either served as the god's private army or enforced its authority in the name of order. The warrior saw the dead golem with someone standing over it and came to conclusions. Dali saw their eyes dart between the body, the doll, and her. She tightened her grip on the magical object. Nothing was going to take it from her. Certainly not a god-blessed fighter who had never had to work for anything. From just the look of it, they knew the doll was magic, likely cursed. The warrior summoned a sword ready to fight, but Dali was in front of them in the blink of an eye. She shattered the sword before they could use it, and grabbed the other nump by the throat, lifting them up in the air so they couldn't reach the ground. The warrior began kicking the cursed woman, but she remained unfazed, embracing more of the doll's power. Dali heard a whisper in her ear, a warning of an attack. Not questioning it, she turned around and instinctively kicked the sword flying towards her, breaking it just like the first. She then turned back to the warrior, snapping their neck and dropping the body off the nearby cliff. Dali took a few steps back, reality hitting once the dust had settled. In what felt like a single moment, she brought 2 lives to an end almost effortlessly. Looking at the door once more, emotions consumed her. Fear and doubt, but also want and desire. This doll was a bad omen, but she couldn't let go. She was in too deep. More of Trahana's warriors came, sensing the death of one of their own. Each and every one was slain by Dali's hands. The more she surrendered herself to the doll, the stronger she became. She lost count of how many had fallen. Half of the nump's attacks weren't her own, as she primarily moved on instinct, her primate body providing her the dexterity to effortlessly move around the armoured opponents. The fight continued for many hours, but she didn't grow tired. Quite the opposite. Every fallen warrior revitalized her energy, allowing her to fight endlessly. The numk took down more and more of her own kind. As the pile of bodies grew, word of this battle did as well. Salem was ripped apart by the supernatural strength the doll provided. Anything that could sense magic could feel the ripples of this battle. Most importantly, divine beings. Trahana, the god of order, arrived at the battlefield. After killing enough of its army, it stepped down to end the feud. Its form was indescribable, like seeing colours for the first time after a life in darkness. The more you looked at it, the harder it was to describe. Trying to focus on any point only emphasized its incomprehensible nature. Trahana reached down and removed the doll from Dali's hand. Trahana reached down and removed the doll from Dali's hand. Trahana reached down and removed the doll from Dali's hand. The nump kept trying to hold on to the magical object. No matter how much she tried, though, she was unable to stop the god from taking her doll. That didn't mean she would give up. Trahana soon got sick of the trick. It realized separating the doll and the mortal was a waste of time. Instead, it opened a rift between realms and sent the problem somewhere else. For a few seconds, the nump was exposed to the world between realms, a grand emptiness from which all is created. The infinite unknown was as horrifying as it was vast. She didn't have much time to process it, as Dali was sent through at an impossibly high speed, until arriving at a destination in only a few seconds. The realm below. A prison for all who had upset the gods. Her entrance was not graceful. Dali collided into the concrete at high speed, the doll's lingering power being the reason only some of her bones snapped. She wasn't entirely sure where she was. It looked like a city, but the buildings made little architectural sense. As she gained her bearings, the nump realized her precious doll was missing. At some point during the fall, she had dropped it. She immediately began attempting to navigate the confusing city. Every street looked completely different, yet she felt like she was going in circles. The longer she looked, the more the doll's powers left her, and she grew weaker, the injuries catching up to her mind. Eventually, Dali found her treasured doll. She headed towards the stuffed object, but before she could reach it, the nump fell to her knees in an intense coughing fit. She tried to crawl towards her precious doll, but the coughing only grew worse, with her mouth soon dripping red. She looked up once more, seeing a human had picked up the doll. He took one look at the feral monkey, diseased, with blood dripping out of its mouth. Deciding it wasn't worth it, he walked away. Dally was left, imprisoned, ill, and alone, craving the comfort of her now departed doll.